Welcome to this week's edition of Valpo Football Preview, along with head coach Dave Cicchini. This is Todd Eichel. We'll start by Coach taking a look back at Saturday against Butler, a game in which their offensive and defensive lines kind of controlled the game. I'll let you just take it from there.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it was a great first half. We hung in there. Felt like we should have had the lead going in at halftime. You know, we missed both extra points, unfortunately, but the defense was playing well. Big turnover by Joey Diaz-Martinez to kind of get us back into the game, and the offense did a great job of finishing 2 drives, and we felt confident going in. Aside from the 2 block kicks, we felt like we were right where we wanted to be, and unfortunately it came out in that second half and couldn't run the football on offense and could not stop the run on the defensive side of the ball, and it really led to a very short second half. We only had 4 possessions on offense really to move the football, which we did each time. We would get a couple of first downs and then get stopped and then punted away, and then our offense was on the sideline for about the next half hour of real time as Butler would take the ball down the field on a really long drive. And so it made for a quick second half, and unfortunately we just came up short.
You made a change at quarterback. Jimmy Seawald started the ball game. Ryan Clark actually came in the fourth quarter. Maybe talk about the quarterback play, what went into the decision, and the decision to put Ryan in the fourth quarter, and then where things stand going forward.
Sure, yeah. Well, Jimmy had his ups and downs in that first half, but made enough throws that we felt like, hey, this is we see the type of player he's capable of being, and chalk up a couple of the mistakes or a couple of the poor throws to just lack of experience and being a freshman. So we went out there the second half, and again, he was getting us. He got us a couple of great third down conversions to keep some of those drives in the second half going, but we were just running out of steam, and we needed to inject something into the offense to really get us fired up and going. And we think an awful lot of Ryan, and we felt like we'd given Jimmy enough reps to turn it on over to Ryan and see what he could do. And unfortunately, when he took, it was just more of the same. He made a couple of nice plays, and we got a couple of first downs, and then the drive just sputtered out. So again, we like them both, and we'll make the decision just like we did this past week. We'll evaluate the game plan. We'll see the health of both individuals and watch them early on in this week of practice and make a decision prior to Saturday.
We've touched on this. We're not making excuses. You have a young football team. You play a lot of sophomores. You play some freshmen. We've seen ups and downs in recent weeks. Really a great performance at Stetson. There were some good things at San Diego. You moved the ball. You shut down the run. Obviously, this past week was maybe the poorest performance in the conference play thus far this year.
Definitely.
Is this just kind of the maturation process, playing with such a young team? Is that part of it, that there are going to be more ups and downs than if it was a veteran team?
There's several factors that go into it. Certainly youth and lack of experience is one of them. And that contributes both into just a lack of consistent play, but also that lack of physical play when you're just not as big and as strong when you're going up and you're playing against players that are a couple of years older than you and have just had more time being in the weight room, and they're just more physically mature individuals. So that does play a part of it, but there are other things as well. The maturity of your football team, understanding what it takes to win a football game and to keep winning football games after you win, and when you don't have enough seniors, which we're very thin in our senior class, that leadership, when it falls on the younger players, they're just not experienced in that area as well. So there's a bunch of different ways that being young can hurt you, and when you go out onto the field and what you had, I think a lot this past Saturday was Butler making some adjustments at halftime, and then our players out on the field just being caught off guard by that, and as coaches you try to change your calls offensively or defensively to adjust to what they're doing, and we weren't able to execute in those situations as well. So it can be frustrating at times, but you try as a head coach, you look at the big picture, you look at the direction that the program's headed, you know that there are going to be better days ahead, and you just try to impart that belief to your players and say, guys, if you're doing the right things, if you can learn from these mistakes, if we can get better, better days are ahead. Better days against Dayton this coming Saturday, better days next year when we play Butler, and so on and so forth.
You look at what Dayton has done thus far this year. they've been incredibly consistent themselves. Even their loss at San Diego was much tighter than any team has played San Diego this year. That's their only conference loss. What makes them so tough?
Yeah, I think you start there. You look at the fact that it's a program that really we're trying to model ourselves after, because they do it the right way. They've built that tradition. They are winning football games, and they're at that point where it's all seniors and juniors. You look at their front seven on their defensive line and in their linebacking core, and they've got 5 or 6 fifth-year seniors who are out there. 22, 23-year-old men who've played an awful lot of college football, who understand what it takes to win games and to win a championship. If we feel like we've recruited players that, in terms of a base talent level, certainly can compete with those types of players that they have, but we're just not there yet as a program. So I think it's a great team in terms of understanding this is where we can get our football program. We are maybe a year or 2 years away from that moment, but that's certainly where we aspire to be. They do things the right way, and it's a great example for us to show to our players, even our players who aren't playing right now, the freshmen or even the sophomores who are going through a redshirt year, to say, hey, look, this is in a team that has gotten their program to the level of where it's just sustained success at Dayton. These players aren't. They're putting in their time. They're working on the scout team when they're 18 and 19 and in some cases 20 years old. And then the reward comes their redshirt senior year or their senior year, where they finally get that starting position. And we're trying to showcase that as, hey, here's a reason why you work so young, even if you're not playing on Saturdays right now, for next year or 2 years or even 3 years down the road.
This is a point you bring up that is incredibly difficult for some of the smaller schools, certainly non-scholarship teams, to keep kids around year after year after year, and especially after they've completed maybe their undergraduate work. It's difficult.
Sure, certainly here, and that happens. We've got some very good, very bright football players who, over the past couple of years, and it's hard to argue against that. They graduated from Valpo in 4 years. They've got a great or several great job opportunities lined up, and it's very difficult when you look at it, as much as you love football, to say, wow, I've got my dream job waiting for me the rest of my life, waiting to start, and to pass that up to play one more year of college football. That's a tough choice for a lot of guys to make, and it's hard for me as a head coach to be able, with a good conscience, to sit there and say, hey, you should pass up that great paying job to come play football, although it would benefit our program for an extra year. So that is that's a challenge that we face, but it's a great challenge to have. It's great to be at a school and an institution that has that type of academic excellence and does a great job of getting its student athletes graduated in 4 years and with a great degree, that they have those opportunities. That helps us when we go out on the road recruiting too. So
this is something we could discuss really forever, but
right.
I think since I've been involved in the program, as long as I can remember, it seems like if you look at the majors of Valpo football players, it seems like there's more engineering students than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. We're loaded with engineers. We're loaded with business majors. We're not taking a lot of majors that it takes a minimum amount of credits to graduate. Our engineers are out there taking 18 or 19 credits a semester, as opposed to some other majors where maybe it's only 12 or 13 credits a semester to graduate. So they take a full course load. That adds to some challenges in terms of scheduling practices and whatnot to make sure that those labs are done and everything. So you have those unique challenges, but you know what those are going in, and you make the best of it. And I said these are great players to coach. They're great individuals. And they've got their head on their shoulders, and they know they're here for an education first. They're passionate about football, but they know the number one reason why they're choosing Valpo is that great education.
This could be a big reason why we commit less penalties
than
almost anybody.
And
else.
that's we try to play. Those are why we feel those are our strengths: the ability to be more disciplined than our opponent, the ability to play with fewer turnovers than our opponent, because we're just more we understand the game, we understand the big picture, we teach the big picture to our players, and we feel like that's our competitive edge when it comes to Saturdays.
Great stuff. Good luck this week, Dave.
Thanks, Todd.
For head coach Dave Cicchini, this is Todd Eichow. Thanks for joining us this week on Valpo Football Preview.